If you're interested in playing along, TVG.com, 1-888-PLAY-TVG, 21 years or older, and must reside in a state where the wagering services are available. And speaking of the network here, very proud to be the title sponsor of the Pacific Classic coming up on Saturday, as we're going to have a big lead up to that premier summer race from Del Mar. Grade 1 as always. Started in 1991, and there has never been a filly win the Pacific Classic. We've seen Passiana, a great mare there for Jenny Craig, and Ron McAnally take a shot in the Pacific Classic. I think she ran 5th that year as the favorite. Take a look at the probables. I'll tell you one horse that would have really shaken this race up that I actually like quite a bit is a horse by the name of FNX, a New York bred for Jimmy Jerkins, who originally they were thinking about coming out to this race, but as you can tell, looks like they've opted against that. Hard Aces for John Sadler's been a nice private purchase there. And even Bayern. Bayern, to me, is one of the question marks. Obviously, Bayern and Beholder are the two that are going to have the most attention, have the best resumes, and also have the widest array of results. I mean, with Bayern, I'm not going to lie, I really thought that was a mistake. And who am I to say what to do with the horse, especially a horse of that caliber for those connections? But I did think it was a bit of a mistake to go to the Met Mile. And I'll tell you why. The horse comes back off a layoff at Churchill in the Churchill Handicap and does not run well, which is fine. He's a bit of an all-or-nothing type. I get that. And it was also the first start in a while. But they had some options for that second start of the year. One of the options was to go up to the ultra-salty Met Mile, where you already had Private Zone in there. You already had some really, really fast horses, Bay of Plenty. I mean, that was a stallion-type race. Or they could have waited a week and stay back for the Stephen Foster, which was going to be a shorter field with a slower pace. And even if Bayern wasn't at his best, I figured that maybe he could go out there and Stephen Foster, hit the lead and still run a respectable second or third if he didn't win. But then they go to the Met Mile and he runs dead last again. So now you're looking at a Breeders' Cup Classic champion who, in his mind, has been toasted in the first 2 starts of the year. So Bayern, it's not going to be a surprise to anybody. It looks like Rafael Bejarano is going to take a mount on Bayern on Saturday. But look, he's not anywhere close to the form that he's shown last year. Can he race back into form? To be honest, I don't see it at the Breeders' Cup Classic level. I mean, everybody's going to be shocked if he would come back to win the Breeders' Cup Classic. Obviously, Bob Baffert has got American Pharoah now, so it's a different story. So Bayern, a lot of questions there. Catch a Flight really is the most consistent horse. I mean, a lot of times bettors like betting horses that they know they're going to get a good, honest run from. They know are consistent. And if that's the type of bettor you are, which I can be like that sometimes, I think we all can, Catch a Flight would probably be the one to play. But Beholder is really going to be the storyline. A great filly. She's been a top-class racehorse from the beginning. And I've got so much respect for those horses that they're good at 2. She was a champion. Great at 3. She was a champion and won the distaff. Great at 4. Has had some little lingering issues and whatnot. Could not make the distaff last year. But now as a 5-year-old, she's still as good as ever. So that makes for a very intriguing TVG Pacific Classic. Grade 1 event. $1 million in the purse live on Saturday from Del Mar. Now let's pick up a work here from Del Mar with Gary Stevens for Beholder. And what you'll notice here is the horse is out there well off the rail, so she's feeling good. She's wanting to do more. And you can see Gary, I mean, look at the restraint that you can see Gary in the saddle here. Obviously, the horse in behind the workmate. We say it a lot with American Pharoah. And look, what I realized about watching this work from Beholder, we're judging works on a different plane now that we've seen American Pharoah, one of the prettiest striders and one of the all-time best workhorses, even best horses that I've ever laid my eyes on. Now we're seeing Beholder here, and once again, look at the tug here. Well off the rail, coordinated, beautiful conformation for this daughter of Henny Hughes, probably the best son or daughter of Henny Hughes. And keep in mind, Henny Hughes was basically a crack sprinter. Henny Hughes could not go long. That's not the case with Beholder. She can go long. She can go a mile and 1/8. We'll see on Saturday if she can go a mile and 1/4. But the overused terminology, the maintenance move, out there and finishing up well. I'm a huge fan of Beholder. I mean, in terms of class, this is one of the classiest fillies and mares out there. I've got no doubt that she's going to be an unbelievable brood mare. Keep in mind, too, that I think she's a half-sister to End of Mischief, who's a sire. So the breeding, it's breeding on top of class, on top of breeding, on top of speed, on top of, distance, whatever you want. She's pretty much got it all. But when I watch back Passiana, when she took a chance in the Breeders' Cup, or excuse me, the Pacific Classic, I do see a lot of resemblance in Passiana and Beholder. If you actually look at the way that, just their physical appearance, they look very similar. And Passiana just did not have it. In the Pacific Classic, it looked like that final eighth of a mile or the competition versus the classic-style males really caught up to her. I certainly applaud Richard Mandela for taking a shot here with Beholder. I mean, she's proven so much. Let's take it to the next level and see if she can prove that she can win for $1 million with the boys. But there's still, for me, that little reservation. I mean, if I'm not betting the race, obviously I'm rooting for Beholder. But if she does go off favorite at 9-5, that to me feels a little light for all the questions. When I'm playing a favorite in this game, I want to really kind of weed out all the worries, all the questions, and kind of have it all right in front of me and know what I'm getting. When I'm betting a horse with any unknowns, that's when I like to play horses at 4-1 and 8-1, and sometimes even higher, your 15-1 shots with those questions because you think that you've got the right answer. When the answer is not in front of you, do you really want to take a short price? And that's really going to be the quandary with Beholder in the Pacific Classic on Saturday. All of our coverage will be focused on that $1 million race there from Del Mar. Let's take a quick break here as we'll remind you to try to make it a winning summer here at TVG. Got to admit, some days are better than others. Sunday, we were doling out some winners. I was feeling good about what we were doing from coast to coast, putting out some good selections, cashing some bets, and you can get in on the action at tvg.com, 4njbets.com, and pabets.com as well.